it's dawning on us that actually there is a deliberate scheme to steal from the public. Nakuru is now experiencing what we call budgeted corruption. They put money close to their mouths, and then because of their ineptitude, they forget we are all stupid. And also they seem to be saying that the Auditor General cannot read between the lines. Adverse opinion is that there are widespread malpractices. Widespread malpractices. Now the disclaimer is an opinion that points to uncooperativeness of the entity being audited. In most instances, the Auditor General does not access information that can lead to an opinion. So there are no records, the entity is not cooperating, and therefore they cannot, so they have no opinion to make. In Nakuru, there are many bad practices that the Auditor General has pointed out. And the essence of those bad practices is that they are denying Kenyans the opportunity to enjoy the services they deserve from their government. So we sit here as members of the Nakuru Civil Society Forum that brings together about 30 organizations that are operating or running programs in Nakuru County. And as part of this statement, we are going to introduce to you who we are and what we do. So I'm going now to invite my co-convener to read out the statement to us so that we are able then to engage based on what we shall have stated.
My name is Bansi Kubudha, the co-convener of Nakuru Civil Society, and I also work with an organization called Center for Transformational Leadership, one of the CSOs working in the democracy and governance space in Nakuru County. So this morning we want to issue a communique as Nakuru Civil Society Forum on improper use of county resources based on the audit report that was released 2 weeks ago. And Nakuru Civil Society Forum is a network of public benefits organizations that are based and working in Nakuru County with the objective of creating synergies for the effective delivery of their respective mandates, promoting constitutionalism in Nakuru County and contributing positively to the development of the county. The forum provides a space for PBOs or public benefits organizations within its networks to share ideas and experiences as well as learn from each other in pursuit of their individual and shared objectives. Under the devolved governance structure, the forum provides an important platform for effective engagement with governments, both national and county, as it seeks to consolidate the voices and strategies of member organizations on specific issues to avoid duplication of efforts. The forum was established as a vehicle through which the rights of citizens to participate in public affairs and decision-making processes, particularly at the county level, can be realized through civic engagement and information sharing. Today, our attention has been drawn to the audit report of the Nakuru County Executive for the financial year 2022-2023 by the Office of the Auditor General. The report reveals multiple violations of public finance management principles and misappropriation of public resources by the county government of Nakuru. Now, we have done a basic analysis, not quite comprehensive, but just a basic analysis of the report. And we have realized that a total of 4.3 billion, which represents 33% of the county expenditure for the financial year 2022-2023, the total expenditure was actually 13.5 billion. So out of that, 4.3 billion has been queried by the Auditor General. And the reasons for these audit queries are: one, lack of supporting documents. It means that the county incurred expenditures, but there are no documents to support those expenditures. There is also irregular expenditure, which means that money may have been spent irregularly without following the due process of approval, or money that has not been allocated in the budget. Then there is a failure to reconcile books of accounts and violations of procurement laws. So our analysis of previous audit reports, because this is not the first time we are analyzing the Auditor General reports, shows that these queries have been recurring year in, year out. These are some of the queries that the Auditor General has been raising, and this points to weak internal controls and non-implementation of audit recommendations. We are worried about the county government's commitment to grow its own source revenue. The Auditor General has pointed out that the county has failed to collect revenue. For example, we have cited some cases here. One of them is revenue from liquor outlets. About 1,087 of them, the county has not collected revenue from 1,087 approved liquor outlets, which is about 42% of the total in the register of 2,609 of the approved outlets in Nakuru County. So it is not lost to us that the county has been struggling to collect revenue also from land rates and plot rents, which stood at 6.9 billion as of the financial year 2020-2021. So these are actually missed opportunities. We are still, as a county, relying heavily on the exchequer releases, while there are opportunities that the county has yet to explore fully to raise its own revenue so that it can sustainably finance its budget. The third thing that as NACSOF we are concerned about is that out of 6.9 billion spent on compensation of employees, about 1.5 billion, which represents 22%, could not be traced in the county payroll. Even worse, the county government did not provide an explanation for this variance. The third thing we are concerned about is we are disturbed that the county executive did not provide supporting documents for about 29 million spent on domestic travel and subsistence allowance. We are more concerned that members of the county assembly are equally implicated for having irregularly drawn 15 million and 40 million as domestic travel and subsistence allowance and facilitation respectively from the county executive votes despite having their own vote. This hampers their ability and moral authority to demand for accountability on the same in line with their oversight mandate. So if the county assembly is getting money from the county executive, how does it question the county executive when it does not spend money according to the law? So we are concerned about that. The other thing that we highly question the motive of the county government of spending about $500 million, 525 million on private medical supplies, contrary to the KEMSA Act 2003. On the other hand, the county government has so far paid 315 million on 5 health infrastructure projects that have since stalled and contractors are not on site. This begs the question on the value for money. Are citizens getting value for money when there is money paid to private medical supplies and there are projects, infrastructural projects that have stalled? Finally, we echo the Auditor General, who has raised doubts on the expenditure of about 275 million on donation of dry foodstuffs. These are foodstuffs alleged to have been distributed to residents of Nakuru County, but there was no evidence that the foodstuff reached the beneficiaries. We are asking, why couldn't the county provide at least a list of beneficiaries and evidence of acknowledgement of receipt by beneficiaries? We are rudely surprised that the Auditor General cited limited access to information and feedback as a hindrance to the audit process.
My name is Vincent Anui from Center for Financing Democracy and Good Governance. So I'll continue. I'll just read the statement. In our analysis, we echo the Auditor General, who has raised doubts on the expenditure of 275 million on donation of foodstuff. So in the county expenditure for that particular period, the county spent about 275 million. But what is being raised as a query, the county was not able to provide a list of beneficiaries and evidence of acknowledgement of receipt by beneficiaries. So this amount was spent, but there was no evidence on the beneficiaries who may have benefited of this particular program. So we are already surprised that the auditor cited limited access to information and feedback as a hindrance to audit process. So the Auditor General herself was not able to get information that is required for them to do their work diligently. So this is actually points to the county inability to be transparent in their work. So the fact that a supreme audit institution like the Auditor General can be denied information speaks volumes of the county government adherence to the constitutional principles of transparency and accountability. So in this particular analysis, these are some of the gaps that were cited. The first one is weak budget control and accountability mechanism. The second one is lack of integrity among the county government officials. The other one is lack of prudence in the utilization of public resources. And the other one, lastly, is low level of transparency on the county. So in our analysis, we are able to get what if the county spend the resources diligently. So we had a scenario, and the scenario is Nakuru County has a shortage of medical staff that continue to hamper service delivery in the health sector in Nakuru. According to the Health Sector Report 2024-2025, Nakuru County has a shortfall of 815 medical staff across all cadres. On the same note, the KMPDU is demanding the remuneration of intern doctors at 206,000 per month as per the 2017 CBA. So the Auditor General queried 1.1 billion spent on compensation of employees, which was not traceable in the payroll. So what we are saying is that the amount could have been, the amount that was being queried, that is 1.1 billion, could have been enough to pay 600 intern doctors for 1 year. So the amount that is being queried for use effectively could be able to pay the 600 staffs in the county. And then we move on. Irregular expenditure versus infant mortality in Nakuru County. According to the KDHS 2022 report, Nakuru County experienced an infant mortality rate of 41 deaths per 1,000 live births. One of the reasons contributing to these deaths is delivery outside health facilities, which is caused by inaccessibility of health facilities and unavailability of delivery service in existing facilities. Analysis of 2022-23 Auditor General report reveals that up to 45 million was flagged as irregular expenditure on domestic and subsistence expenditure paid to members of county assembly, which could have been enough to finance an establishment of 9 fully fledged maternity wings. So the money that is being queried, that is 45 million, could be enough to set up 9 fully fledged maternity wing. This will exponentially increase access to maternity services and subsequently enhance maternal and neonatal health, especially in remote location of Nakuru County.
Again, my name is Paul Masese. Yeah, and just one budget line, the 1.14 billions that cannot be traced. People have been paid, but in the payroll, the total amount executed by the payroll that was provided lagged 1.14 billion. If that money was available, it would have paid 600 intern doctors for 1 year. And you know what that means to service delivery. That's just one. And then you hear that we are saying we don't have money to pay doctors to return to work. That's where the paradox lies. Now, as NACSOV, Nakuru County Civil Society Forum, we know the county assembly is obligated by law to act on the Auditor General's report for the county government. Unfortunately for us, you realize even in this report, they've been flagged out as having been bribed, and I'm using this word very intentionally. Why would the executive give the assembly money, yet we know that by law the assemblies run their own budgets. And you know what they call this? Facilitation. Yeah? What were they being facilitated for? So that's what I called bribery. So we really would want to call the county assembly first and foremost to come out clean on this. That's number one. And then to take action as per law to investigate and make public their findings on the report. Further, we are demanding that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission moves with speed to investigate possible fraud, abuse of office, dereliction of duty, fraud and theft in the budget lines mentioned. We just looked at sections of the report. We have not done comprehensive analysis, but we picked this because they affect the taxpayers the most. So it's our call to EACC, since we do not expect the County Assembly of Nakuru to do anything substantive, to investigate and bring to book those found culpable to have been involved in any practices that defrauded you and I of our hard-earned tax money. That the County Assembly and Executive, on their own volition, should come out and provide a public justification for expenditure. We are giving them this option because as NACSOF, we do appreciate how the audit process works. So they were given the first opportunity by the Auditor General to provide justification, to explain the findings, and they abdicated that responsibility. Actually, they did not. But we are giving them a second chance. Now that the report is published, before we continue having the drama that we see, can the governor and the minister, the CCM, member for Treasury, come out and give detail by detail explanation of what the Auditor General is saying? It's incumbent upon them. Indeed, it's their duty, it's their responsibility as government. And further to that, they need to enumerate the actions they wish to take to address the queries, and as well the measures they intend to put in place to prevent malpractices from recurring in future. Of course, one of the findings one of the things the Auditor General is speaking to is payment of private lawyers, quite a huge sum of money. It will be explained that this is a debt that has been rolled over, over time. Can they come out, provide those details, put it down on paper, and explain how they are going to address it once and for all? We are calling upon the Senate Public Accounts Committee to demand for responses as quickly as possible. But you know what? This is a misnomer in by itself. If the Assembly were performing its duty, the Senate would come to lend the last resort. But now as NACSOF, we are left with no option than to ask the Senate to come to the ground and engage and institute an investigation as would ensure that these malpractices being pointed out are brought to an end. Considering the total queried amount and the entire implications on service delivery, NACSOF urges public oversight institutions to move swiftly and initiate forensic investigation to determine the gravity of the issues that generate evidence for prosecution. You know, we are good at punching the air. Yesterday, there was this very sad conference in Nairobi discussing the wage bill that ended up discussing fake certificates. So we waste the little we have, then we start creating ghosts and then fighting those ghosts. So what we are demanding of all public oversight institutions collectively is to act in concert with each other and to ensure public finance violations of the Public Finance Act, public finance regulations are brought to an end, if only to save the Kenyan taxpayer from the burden of wastage. So on our part as NACSOF, we are going to keep a keen eye on this. We're going to follow up with the Public Accounts and Public Investments Committee of the County Assembly. Actually, when we are done with the complete analysis, we'll be having an engagement with them. Through the Citizen Accountability Audit of the Supreme Audit Institution, we are also going to engage the Auditor General's Office and recommend specific actions for Nakuru County, tailored for Nakuru County. It's dawning on us that actually there is a deliberate scheme to steal from the public. Nakuru is now experiencing what we call budgeted corruption. They put money close to their mouths, and then because of their ineptitude, they forget we are all stupid. And also they seem to be saying that the Auditor General cannot read between the lines, which is unfortunate. So we'll continue following up on this, and in the fullness of time, if need arises, and because this is an agenda we have, a national agenda, we will consider joining hands with colleagues, other CSO forums across counties, if necessary, to institute legal action. What we want to do is to test public interest litigation. How can we enforce public finance regulations so that the Kenyan taxpayer is saved from the greed of our leaders? There are people in government who are complicit of the wastage we are experiencing. There's someone who is not doing his job or her job, and the only reason we can defer or infer is perhaps that's the person benefiting the most from the fraud that's happening in government. The report we are discussing here is the Auditor General's audit report of the county executive for Nakuru County Government for the financial year 2022-2023. This is squarely an executive. Remember, we are yet to look at the one for the county assembly of Nakuru. This county assembly is also an entity that incurs public expenditure. So we'll look at it, and in the fullness of time, we'll share with you a similar communique. So this is a county executive matter.